Never Have I Ever Begun its life on Netflix as a special viewpoint on the struggles of adolescence, given from a South Asian perspective. Over the past 3 seasons, Mindy Kaling and her team have struck all the appropriate notes to accurately depict the experience of growing up as a first-generation Indian American. The 3rd season takes relationships to a completely new level, despite the fact that romance has always been at the center of the narrative. Nearly every character is connected to someone else, and they switch partners more frequently than in a musical chairs game. It can be challenging to determine who is suitable with whom in light of this. But we will try our best to rate the couples according to their chemistry. Be aware that just because a couple gets together at the conclusion of the season doesn't imply they'll stay that way when the show concludes. Ben and Anissa. Being friends with Ben Gross, Jared Lewison, can be challenging. He is a smartass, a know-it-all, and lacks social sensitivity, which is rather appropriate for someone who devotes his entire life to academic superiority. It's safe to say that he doesn't get along with the majority of people, with the exception of one very evident person. More on that later. At first, the 2nd season's pairing of Ben and newcomer Anissa Qureshi, Megan Suri, appeared to be working. However, tension develops in the first half of the 3rd season as Ben vents his stress and resentment from losing Devi, Maitreyi Ramakrishnan, to Anissa. Nothing Anissa says or does seems to be good enough for Ben, which causes the audience to focus on Ben's flaws rather than his strengths. When Ben haughtiness begins to show, he needs to be with someone who will challenge him and responds. Too gentle to be that person, Anissa. A high point of the middle of the season was her standing up for herself and moving on. Anissa and Fabiola. Anissa is somewhat right when she believes that Fabiola, Lee Rodriguez, will be the one to appreciate and adore her. When a person is getting through adolescence, human sexuality may be highly complicated, and Anissa confuses her admiration and friendship for Fabiola with her feelings of passion. A high point for female same-sex depiction on a big streaming television show in 2022 is when they share a kiss in the girls' lavatory. There is simply not enough current television that explores young women and their sexualities without being exploitative. These teen-oriented shows frequently concentrate on the growth of two. The best efforts of Fabiola and Anissa to reignite that spark are ineffective. Their attempt to date in this kind of thing, Mindy Kaling's show has done so well. Sensitively explore a significant societal issue with compassion, empathy, and fun. Ultimately, they realize that they can only love each other platonically. Devi and Des. Devi experienced one of her typical adolescent relationship problems after splitting with Paxton, Darren Barnett. A few episodes into the 3rd season, she anticipates the son of her mother's friend being a classic dweeb when she consents to meet him at a nearby high school party. Instead, she is astonished by his charm and brilliance right away. In many ways, Des, Anirudh Pisharodi, is too good to be true. He's extremely intelligent, physically appealing, and Indian. He is the ideal lover in Nalini's Purna Jagannathan perspective because of the 3rd bullet item. And getting mom's blessing is always important. Des and Devi date for the bulk of the season, and it seems like they are a really good match. Their biggest disagreements are brought on by Devi's personal traumas associated with the passing of her father, which Des's mother finds offensive. Des doesn't really put up much of a fight about Devi overwhelming him at this point in his life, but she believes that Devi will. Devi deserves a man who will stand up for her and love her flaws and all. Devi and Des are now considered a ship that has completed their voyage and is insignificant in contrast to other ships in this season. Fabiola and Eve. Finally, we've reached the couples in the show that really clicked. The relationship between Fabiola and Eve, Christina Karchner, ended prematurely. At the conclusion of the 2nd season, they become the school's first queer couple to win prom. But at the start of the 3rd season, they abruptly and suddenly split up. Eve relocates abroad, and Fabiola struggles to maintain a long-distance romance. It's particularly bad because Eve was the one who gave Fabiola the knowledge that she needed to recognize her lesbian identity. It's common to have intense feelings for your first love. When this is your first LGBTQ+ love, the connection is even more precious. Eve is a metaphor for Fabiola's capacity for self-acceptance and unconditional love. There's the impression that Karchner may have had other contractual responsibilities this season based on the manner that she is written out of the program. Hopefully, this fantastic duo will reunite in the show's last season. Manish and Kamala. Reach a Murjani's character Kamala, who is kind and clever throughout the majority of Never Have I Ever, is compelled to live a life that others dictate to her. She frequently served as a Devi contrast character. Kamala respects her parents in a much more traditional manner and constantly pays attention to those in position of authority. However, she proves that you sometimes have to stand up for yourself when you approach Manish, Utkarsh, Budkar about dating, Nirmala, Ranjita, Chakravarti. With the contemporary Indian American culture, Manish and Kamala are one of the show's prettiest and most sincere couples because they chose to be together and are able to overcome those who object to their union. By the conclusion of the season, even Nirmala can see through this. Devi and Paxton. The show's titans are now in reach. Devi and Paxton are the third best coupling, despite the fact that they have been platonic friends for the majority of the 3 seasons. At the beginning of this season, they finally begin a formal relationship, but Devi's fears cause a heartbreaking breakup. Though Daxton has reached its conclusion, there's still hope. Their close bond is deep and complicated, and it reveals a lot about each of the characters. Devi wasn't always someone she expected to speak to, much less become friends with or even date. She had no idea that Paxton might have felt as threatened by her presence as she did by his. Paxton has been coaxed by Devi to develop into the complete adult man he is by graduation day in the 3rd season finale. On the other hand, Paxton was able to convince Devi that she shouldn't ever feel inferior to her partner. She is a lovely person who will find love despite the fact that it may seem unlikely when she is anxious or moody. Trent and Eleanor. The relationship between Trent, Benjamin Norris, and Eleanor, Ramona Young, is a prime example of how opposites attract. Eleanor excels academically and has creative talent, but Trent's primary talent is hanging out with Paxton all day in a garage. They have more things in common than you may imagine, which helps explain why their connection is so natural and appropriate. Trent and Eleanor have a steadfast dedication to those that matter to them. They frequently act quickly out of excitement and think with their hearts rather than their brains. The biggest challenge for a couple, regardless of age, is that they genuinely enjoy being around one another. It's been fascinating to watch Trent's character and storylines developed as he gets to know Eleanor, and the fact that he'll have to repeat the 12th grade gives them even more time to fall in love. Ben and Devi. Devi and Ben had to be involved somehow, right? The final connection between Devi and Ben was evident to every spectator, despite the fact that ship fights and teen romance shows may occasionally become poisonous. They've been friends for a very long time. They both excel academically but struggle with self-esteem outside of the classroom. The chemistry between Devi and Ben is unrivaled, despite the fact that both of them hide their internal concerns behind sarcasm and snobbishness. Both characters can be neither. Both characters can be their self-assured selves because of the passion that they have while they are together. It's uncommon for teenage characters to understand this, but when Devi visits Ben's house to use her voucher for one free boink, it's difficult to feel anything other than the culmination of 3 seasons of love and adoration. It should be intriguing to see where the romance goes in this wonderful show's final season, because this is a classic case of enemies to lovers. Never Have I Ever Season 3's complete 10 episodes are currently streaming on Netflix. Do you concur with the rating of the couples? Which couples are you going to pick? Please let me know by leaving a comment below. And if you enjoyed this video, please press the like button, turn on the notification bell, and subscribe to our channels for more videos like this. Thank you for stopping by to watch. See you in our next video.